Hi guys, and welcome everyone who joined our conversation today. We are going to discuss how to attract valuable users and increase game LTV. But first of all, let us introduce ourselves and the service that we provide. And I'm gonna start. My name is Elena Ivanova, and I have been business development manager at Adjust for games for about 2 years now. I work with game developers from Russia and Eastern Europe, but I'm based in Berlin. Speaking about Adjust, shortly, for those who don't know us, we are a global B2B software as a service company. We assist our clients with mobile attribution, fraud prevention, and automation. And now I think it's your turn, Alexandra. Please introduce yourself, your service, like what are you doing? Thanks.
Hi everyone, so I'm Alexandra. I'm a co-founder of Bidshake. I'm based in Tel Aviv. For the ones of you who don't know Bidshake is the leading marketing automation platform. We're basically working with advertisers, so game developers, app developers, and we allow them to automate the campaign management on 15 different ad networks.
Cool. Thank you. Shan, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Shin, the Vice President for Product and Marketing at Storms. So Storms is a Singapore-based gaming startup invested by EDB New Ventures and three of the largest telco in the Asia region, namely Singtel, AIS, and SK Telecom. So we own three different business lines, ranging from social instant play games enabled with mini esports tournament. And for that business line, we are targeting emerging markets. For the second business line is our hyper-casual genre, mobile games publishing. And last but not least, we have Smarty Pants. So Smarty Pants is an advertising management solution that allows mobile app developers to enhance their mobile game profitability. So this solution works as an additional layer to ad mediation platforms. So no SDK integration is required, and mobile game developers can see their up-down increasing by double-digit within days, which is pretty impressive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sounds great, of course. And the last one, but of course not least, Tony, please, you on spot now.
Thanks very much. So yeah, I'm Tony. I'm a manager of the business development team for Applovin. Applovin is a marketing software company that provides a suite of integrated solutions to help developers grow their mobile games and apps. We also have our own studios that release apps that are played by millions around the world. As I said, I'm a manager on the business development team. I look after and lead up Nordics, Southeast Asia, and Israel, helping games companies around the world increase their monetization or maximize their user experience and ultimately grow their games.
Wow, sounds impressive and like a lot of responsibilities you have. Okay, guys. So because there is no Q&A sessions, I just just offer you, like our audience, if you have any questions during this session, you of course can contact us via Pine is the first option, or find us on LinkedIn and just talk to us what is interesting to you. So we have a list of questions, and we start slowly a little bit. So let's first of all to know you better. And my first question, do you guys personally play any games? And if yes, have you started playing more during 2020? Because, it was the year of pandemic started. So, people just turn to games and start playing a lot. And I start myself, so yeah, I play games, but I'm typical 35 plus female audience. So I play Mage 3, like casual games. I really like one, Family Island. It's a casual game, like farming type. Apart from that, some hyper casual one, just to kill time if I'm waiting for something like delivery. These kind of things. And I don't think I started playing more last year. But still, yeah, I have like 3 games which I play regularly, more or less. What about you, Alexander? Do you play any games?
Well, I used to play a lot of hyper-casual games just to kill the time, as you say. But 2020 has been very challenging. We launched Bidshake. I had a second baby. We had a lot of lockdowns. I have another kid, so to be honest, I completely stopped playing games because I couldn't find the time anymore. So I'm just playing my client's game just to understand, what are the games about and what are the main KPIs. But myself on my free time, I don't.
Okay, but still, you play games. This is good because you should be in the market. You should
No, of course.
feel the trend. Yeah.
Just for work reasons now.
Yeah. Okay. So Shane, please tell about you.
Well, I typically play hyper casual games myself. I like Match 3 a lot as well, like you. But most recently, I've been playing a lot of Jetpack Joyride and Hot Bunny Hop game on our own Storms Instant Gaming app. So it's available for download on Android apps, Google Play Store. So for now, I really like these games because for these hyper genre games, right, it's so easy to play and really they transcend all age groups. Between 3 generations of women in my family. From myself to my 4-year-old daughter to my 60-year-old mother, we are all playing the same game and comparing our scores. So that's how we bond in the family. Yeah.
So who is the winner right now, if you compare the results?
Very embarrassing on me. It's actually my mother. She's
wow.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, thanks, Tony. What about you?
Yeah, I suppose I play a lot of hyper casual games, my clients' games, to keep up with trends and to understand what's happening in the market. Outside of that, occasionally I get hooked on a new game. I think the most recent one has been Match Masters, which is like a PvP match 3 game by Kandivore out of Israel. I think it's great. You guys should all play it.
Okay, small advertising here. Okay, so next question. How did COVID and all this pandemic influence your business? It's not necessary to talk about the company. Of course, you can say about your personal experience. Speaking about myself, I'm working with games, so it's actually was a good year for me because games were growing a lot. So I didn't. I can't regret, really. I can't say the year was bad. No, for me the year was really good in terms of work. In terms of personal habits, of course, it was really difficult to switch to home office because I really like being in the office, being in the team, talk to each other, etc. But yeah, it is what it is. So far, we're working from home still, and there is no light in the tunnel, to be honest. So hopefully soon still. Alexandra, please tell about your experience.
Yeah, so for us, it's not really that COVID influenced Bidshake, it's that COVID made Bidshake. We officially launched Bidshake in March 2020. So we had the big challenge of, building a product, recruiting people, and really trying to experience tremendous growth in those challenging times. But luckily enough, most of our clients are gaming companies. They did experience, amazing growth during COVID, and so did we. We kind of tripled our headcount. We're onboarding the biggest app and game companies, developed new features. So it's been a very, very good year for us. But as far as Bidshake is concerned, we only know Bidshake in COVID. Although we're getting out of the tunnel here in Israel, we're back to the office and everything is going back to normal. But that's what we've known so far.
Okay, cool. So congratulations. So it was good time.
Congratulations.
Yeah, nice. Okay, Tony, so what about your experience now?
I suppose we didn't really, I think it really comes down to the game genre as well. When it comes to more casual or hyper casual games that are built to be played on the go, really, and have a more snackable format, we didn't see a huge increase going into COVID, nor a decrease coming out. I think a lot of growth was definitely on the more mid-core games, and definitely on more console gaming as well, where people are spending and have much more time to spend hours on them. But personally, it's been an experience. Definitely looking forward to when there is a light at the end of the tunnel as well.
Okay, so yeah, I hope our mutual energy will help this to move in a more positive direction soon. Okay, so next question. What is your goal for this year? I mean, we are still kind of in the middle of it, about to be in the half of this, but still, I think we still have time to make our dreams come true. So Speaking about my goal, in terms of work, of course, just grow, grow, grow. I really enjoy my job. And in terms of other, I would like to learn more surfing because I really like it, this type of sport. It's challenging, but it's still, maybe because of this, I really like it and I want to do it more. And I hope I will have more time to do this later this year. Guys, so Alexandra, what about your goal?
Yeah, I think my goal and the goal of Bidshake is really to continue growing. I think that this year we acquired a very good reputation in the market. We proved ourselves, but now we want to go much bigger. Our vision is really to become the first self-serve platform for everything that is related to marketing automation, so UA and monetization. And there is a lot of work along the way. And more personally, I'm just hoping that I will succeed in finding back this work-life balance. I think everything has been a bit mixed up with the COVID, working from home and taking care of the family and everything. So I'm just hoping that now we're going to readjust the balance and be able to travel and to do all the things that we used to do before.
Yeah, it would be amazing, right? Okay, Shin, what about you?
Okay, yeah. So I was saying that I had a very meaningful first quarter this year because I actually had a first-hand experience of the success of our first web-based instant playable marquee game. I'm very after experiencing that, I'm very inspired to make gaming experience more social, frictionless, and more inclusive. So let me explain on this point on inclusive, right? So imagine having highly successful games like Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride, which have enjoyed over 1 billion downloads and been top grossing for the last decade. But they have never been experienced by 2 billion other people from emerging markets who are poorly connected to access such native games. Or we are talking about the developed markets, the young and the older demographics. There is a digital literacy gap, so they struggle to figure out how to download and access these amazing high quality games from the App Store. So now Storms is on this mission to bring these games to more people through our web-based instant playable games. So this is actually both my personal and business goal. I want to redefine the game experience for the underprivileged. Yeah.
Wow, it's a good goal. It's a good goal. Tony, try to beat this. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I don't have anything as good as that. I'm sorry. No, I'll jump on the same thing that you and Alexandra said, is that I think from a business perspective, as always, it's always about growth. So really looking forward to helping grow the business this year. On a kind of personal one as well, looking forward to traveling more, even maybe getting to meet clients again later on in the year. And yeah, going back and seeing my friends and holidays and everything that we've been missing out on for the last year.
Yeah, I think it's a mutual goal for everyone right now. So yeah, let's hope it's gonna be happening again soon. Okay, now let's get more serious and start with the discussion about valuable users, because this is the main goal of this conversation. So what are your key metrics to measure the value of your clients' users? So how you do that? And speaking about Adjust, so of course we don't like, our clients don't tell us like what kind of metrics they use to value users, but because we see what we like what they are aiming for. So I would say this, of course, like ROAS. So this is a really good metric. Then LTV and retention rate, especially for hyper casual games, it's a really important metric. So I would say these three are really important. Alexandra, like, what about you?
I tend to agree. At the end of the day, it all comes down to profitability, right? And the question is how every vertical in the gaming industry is measuring profitability. So it's ROAS, as you said, LTV, retention. It can be on different look-back period, depending on if it's a hyper-casual game, a mid-core game, hardcore game. But it all goes down to that. I would say that for hyper-casual, more specifically, what we're saying is that ROAS is really the king. And I would say ROAS D0, D1, D3, D7, but not much further than that.
Yeah, that's true. So Shin can share more because she really works with users. So what about your users? how you
Yeah, I
measure?
guess we can all agree on the same metrics. So on our end, it's also ROAS, LTV, and retention. But maybe on retention, I would like to talk more about that. So user retention is one of the more important key metrics we actually looked at, because having good retention actually keep users in the game for longer. And once they stay in the game for longer, it gives us more opportunities to monetize them, which ultimately boosts the game LTV. So in a way, all of these metrics are kind of interlinked somehow, right? And for context, in hyper casual, ARPU is often interchangeable with LTV because LTV is often so short. And this means boosting profit is directly associated with improving our game LTV. The higher the LTV, the more we can spend on user acquisition while maintaining a higher margin. So this is a metric that not just marketing team looked at it, our game advisors, our data analysts, we all looked at it. So this metric serves as a red flag for us to indicate whether areas of game that require change. We never stop improving on all the games we publish. So, for instance, just want to give an example. A low rate on day one actually may mean that the game is not challenging enough, and hence the user doesn't return after the first session. Or we often see a promising day one retention but low rate on day 7. That may indicate that while the game is engaging, but somehow it's lacking incentive for the user to return after some time has passed. So for that case, we actually will look at increasing the difficulty of some levels, or even implementing a daily reward to encourage players to come back. Yeah, so I would say on a regular basis, we are in the publishing business, so our team of game advisors, they regularly conduct health checks on all the games. So we looked at the levels which are leading to a drop-off in the users. And once we have identified this as a problem, we work closely with our game developers to see how we can fix it. Yeah, and also what my last point is, new features and new designs actually added over time. So we may publish a game for 6 months, but even at the 6-month point, we still continue to add in the new features and designs. So all of these small little variables can actually go a long way in improving the user's play time. Yeah, so back to the point, longer play time, this is definitely a factor that impacts upon LTV.
So like you mentioned low rate. So what is, for example, really low rate for day one in your company? What is the benchmark?
Yeah, so we're looking at around 30% onwards. Yeah, anything below 30% will be considered a low rate for us.
Okay.
Yeah, minimum 30%, but ideally 40 to 60%.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Would be nice to have, right? So Tony, tell us about your experience. Like, what is your metrics?
Yeah, I think, as you said, the primary one is always going to be ROAS and the amount of revenue that you can actually generate from each user, right? Particularly when games are at scale, that's really what's important, that you're being profitable on your user acquisition. In early stages, things like retention, because it's almost like a proxy for ability to monetize, and CPI in early stages, because it's a proxy for marketability, really, are important as well. But then as you move from, let's say, a soft launch stage in a game to running at scale, the primary focus for almost everyone is going to be on ROAS. And when it comes to hyper casual games in particular, that's going to be around day 0, day 1.
Okay. So next question. Has the portrait of your available users changed? Because the industry is changing all the time. So did you notice any significant changes in the portrait of this valuable user, or it's more or less the same? I can't relate to that because we don't have any users. So, but maybe Alexandra, maybe from your clients' experience, they shared something with you about that, like.
Yeah, we're not using any user level data as well, but from talking to clients, especially hyper casual. So hyper casual has always been very broad, but it's true that in the past year and with the pandemic, the audience became even much broader, right? In terms of the age of the player, the gender, the location, the language. We've really seen this huge mass of players that are, that are not answering any of the standards mobile gaming player. And I think this is the main trend that we saw in hyper casual over the past year.
By the way, I remember. So we did once the report, and it was like from last year. It was a big growth in terms of sessions. So the length of the session became bigger, like longer. Yeah, I think it's correct to say. Maybe Shin also can relate to that. So
yeah. So we are in hyper casual publishing. So the beauty of hyper casual games actually mean all audiences can play it, and the mandate is as long as they keep us profitable, these users are valuable. This part doesn't change at all, right? Maybe if I look at the different games we have published, we actually see different audiences for the different games. For like our zombie first-person shooter game, we see it's more male-dominated. Then for our soccer hyper-casual game,
graphics of users who are playing this year, but of course, like, it was already incredibly wide. What I think we've noticed, and I've noticed, is that, let's say, the hyper casual audience is developing and becoming more mature now, and then more casual games and more mid-core games are finding higher quality users within the hyper casual audiences as they search for something that's a little bit more complex and less, say, snackable than it previously was.
did you notice, guys, that users started playing less than I don't know, previous periods? Like, did you notice that? Because some people lost their jobs, right? So like, if they still have money to play at the same level and pay the same level as they used to.
No, I haven't really.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sure. No, I haven't really seen that. I think particularly with hyper casual games, they're going to be, for the vast majority, ad driven as well. So there's a lot of in-app purchases or a lot of disposable cash necessary. I think it's one of the interesting things and great things about the mobile game industry is that it can appeal to such a wider array of people, and
about this
provide them in a number of different ways.
If your user doesn't want to see the advertising, so they can pay and stop seeing it, right?
Yeah, but for hyper casual games in general, 90% plus 95%, almost to 100% of revenue is probably going to be through ad revenue.
Okay. Alexandra, so what did you want to?
No, I was going to say that I don't think people are playing less. What we've seen is probably a lower LTV. It seems that there is a growing competition, especially in the hyper casual environment, with more and more studios, more and more games, and it seems that users are jumping from one game to another and are being less faithful to the same game. So I think it's a trend that we saw, and it's actually a good sign. It's showing that the industry is becoming mature and there is more competition and there is more room for smaller entrants. But I think this is the repercussion on those users.
Yeah, Shin, so what about your financial results? So do you notice anything regarding like less payments or, you're on mute, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying similar to Alexandra. I was saying that I observed the same trend on end as well. So LTVs are getting shorter. There's no loyalty. People really churn pretty fast. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So if you notice the same, audience, if you notice the same, just don't be so sad about that. It's just a general trend. You don't need to worry. You just should continue working on your games. Okay. Next question. What about the geo? So did users from some countries surprise you recently? We recently prepared a report together with Facebook, so where we just actually highlighted 4 countries. It's India, which was interesting. Last year they were growing a lot. Then UK, US, and oh man, I forgot the fourth one. I think it's Brazil. Anyway, so still, for example, it was surprising for us that UK is still, on the spot, because kind of it's really mature market, so it's difficult to get there, but still there is potential, So this is from our data, guys. Like Alexandra, what about you? So did you?
No, I think I haven't really been surprised with the users from some countries. What I've seen is, especially with clients working with automation solution, that they are going to go for every single country out there. I mean, the single rule is being profitable, like make more money than what you spend, and wherever it is in the world, we can go there and we'll get these users.
Yeah, it's a good strategy. Why not? Of course. You should try. You should try. Okay, Shane, so did you notice anything like this?
Well, we have multiple business lines, so I had the privilege to look at other business lines as well. For our social instant play gaming business line, we have observed the highest retention rates from African markets, which was surprising to us. So some of these African markets are like Nigeria and Ethiopia. And also for Asia, where I'm based in Singapore right now. So Asia has an interesting characteristic when it comes to game preference. All the major markets in this region are mostly mobile first, and mobile games are so ubiquitous that they actually exist everywhere. Even these games actually start doubling up as retention tools within major super apps in the region. So in this year, right, I definitely see a rising trend of super apps in the region attempting to retain their audiences with game content. So think of like Gojek, Shopee, and Lazada in Southeast Asia, and Zomato, Flipkart in India. They are all embarking on this gaming content as a strategy to engage with their users in the super apps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tony.
Nothing that's like super surprising from users in any given geos. We have seen, let's say, that automation technology and bidding technology has enabled partners to increase the revenue that they're generating from users, particularly in tier 2, tier 3 geos, where they may not have had the time to focus before. And then also on a user acquisition perspective, automation has helped them also expand to being truly global companies, whereas the focus may have been on like the tier 1 geos in the US before, just from a bandwidth perspective.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, guys, I think because we just, lost some time, I think we just moved to skip some questions, some like general questions, and let's go, let's cut to the chase and talk about user acquisition and creatives, because of course, creative is a big part of user acquisition. It started from it. So what do you think about last ad creative trends and optimization? Did you notice any big changes in this area, in this industry, I would say too? If speak about myself, I think our clients more or less they're using the same ad creatives in terms of what rewarded videos, interstitial, banners, more or less, or playable ads, right? For some verticals, it's working also really good one. So the trend is to use automation, as you guys already mentioned, of course, because it's easier. You can manage a lot of different ad campaigns simultaneously, so you can scale up easy. And highly recommend, Okay, Alexandra, so what about you? Do you think, did you notice something in terms of advertising? So what's going on?
I agree with the automation. I think, the past year were really the year of adoption of automation on creative. I mean, everyone was going for companies like Luna Labs, just for the reiteration process that is taking for ages. And another thing that we've noticed is that our clients tend to follow very, very closely the TikTok trends, because they want to create the most viral content. So they are taking inspiration from TikTok in order to generate the content. And I think what will be interesting to see is, we haven't mentioned it yet, but iOS 14, I think everything will be disturbed on iOS due to scan. So basically all the creative testing that was done on iOS will now switch to Android, and I think it's going to be an interesting trend to follow in the coming months.
Yeah, you are right. Definitely. Right now, the trend is trying everything on Android and invest more in Android, I think. Yeah, Shane, do you feel like I see you on okay, noting like you agree on that?
Yeah, so yeah, well, I fully agree. So automation of creatives is trending right now. And on our end, we have begun to experiment with playable ads also on Lunar Labs platform. So these ads actually allow users to try the gameplay before they eventually install and they experience the real experience, right? So on our end, we actually see that these playable ads that they are a great option to engage with the potential users. People who come in through playable ads are less likely to churn. They are more committed to playing the game, right? Because why would they install the app after playing a sample of the game? It really means that they are really interested in this game. So we have so far seen positive results, and we really want to look at ways to expand further in this front.
Okay, so far TikTok, playable ads. Tony, what you can add on this?
Yeah. Well, look, I think from a creating perspective in general, because like hyper casual ads have so much an amount of interstitial supply, that videos and playables are definitely still king. When it comes down to playables, I think you can have these very simple like single interaction playables, or like almost playables that are and the multi-interaction more sophisticated playables. I've definitely seen like a small trend back away from like the single interaction playables, more towards like multi-interaction playables in the market now, particularly because I think the user quality, as you said, can tend to be much higher there when you're giving like a more complete understanding of the game, but also because of like how simple hyper casual games are, like a single interaction playable can work really well and be the best choice for a lot of games. It really depends on the concept. I advise people to work on both, as well as videos.
What do you think about this type of creatives where they show not real gameplay? You know, this kind of campaigns where like a main character is running somewhere, but it's nothing about the real game. Like game is different, so different. Do you think it's work? Did your clients or did you yourself use it? So what do you want?
Yeah, so it was definitely a trend that started a couple of years ago, right? And like they definitely worked very well. The IPMs on them were very strong. What I think how they kind of evolved is pretty interesting as well. They went very away from being, let's say, completely misleading to, let's say, if it was a match 3 game, having puzzle elements in there, so you're still attracting the same kind of user who would be attracted to puzzle games, and those seem to be the ones that we're winning at, and providing the highest quality for everyone. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's something that has to be played upon as well. What can provide the highest retention and the highest quality users, as well as engaging people who may not have initially wanted to play your game, so that they will give the game a shot.
Okay, so you like Shane, Alexandra, what experience did you have with this misleading creatives? Did you try Shane maybe this one?
No, so far we tried the playable ads on our soccer game. It was pretty much a simple gameplay, getting people to score the ball, right? So no experience, and I can't comment on that. So sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you are fair, so you just like, this is the game, this is how you play it, this is the result, like, no surprise. Okay, Alexandra, what did you hear about that, or maybe your clients use it?
I think most of our clients are being fair as well. So
Okay, cool. So speaking about user acquisition, because I think there are not only like advanced listeners right now in the audience, I think some of them really beginners. So that's why I think it would be good to share what should a developer have in his marketing stack. Some maybe some special tools, how to be profitable in user acquisition. Maybe some analytics, whatever. So from our perspective, from a Adjust perspective, of course, it's good to have a good provider of mobile attribution, because this is how you understand where your users come from. That's the first and important thing. And then, of course, analytics, it can be just a product analytics too, because, you should understand how your product performs, how your game performs, where you lose users, like in which level you lose your users potentially, these kind of things. So and there are a lot of also free tools till some level. So if you want to start, you just can start for free and see how it goes. And then, of course, on the way, you can get more advanced versions of these products and develop your game further. Alexandra, what is your recommendation for that?
To the two, of course, attribution is key. Product analytics is key. I would add, especially if you're in hyper casual, a mediation partner. So of course you need a mediation SDK, and you need to find the right partner for that. And the last thing that I would add is an automation platform. I think even if you're a small developer, you need, once you're going to become more sophisticated, you will have your own BI, will have something sophisticated to see all of the data. But I think in the meantime, you need a platform that's allowing you basically to have a clear vision of your data and to make some actions on your data and to automate those actions, because you don't have the resources to hire 10 different UA managers that are going to follow the campaign on every single level of granularity. So I think it's the missing piece. So for me, it's the attribution, product analytic, monetization partner, and the UA automation platform.
Yeah, makes sense. So automation really helps to not have too many people in your team, but just start slowly and then, just growing on the way. So Shin, what is your recommendation?
Well, coming from a publisher's perspective, it's really all about the tools and the people as well. So maybe I start with the tools. Definitely, we need to make our marketing efforts measurable. So we want to gain insights to better understand user behavior, to see the money where we are spending on the ads, what's the ROAS that we are seeing. So actually adopting an independent mobile measurement partner such as Adjust, is actually worth considering, because it allows us to track and measure our UA campaigns. Every single cent must be put to good use, right? Yeah, and also tools such as Firebase, Game Analytics, they are useful to help us optimize the user's app experience and drive retention. Speaking of marketing automation, briefly, I mentioned Lunar Labs earlier on to help us produce playable creatives very quickly. And with marketing automation, when we want to scale UA, our marketeers can actually think how they want to leverage these tools to improve their productivity and time efficiency as well. And on people, right, I think you don't need a huge team of people. Even lean team and high performance marketing growth folks would do. So I'm actually referring to growth marketeers, who drive measurable results and they make informed UA decisions based on the feedback from these tools, right? So these people are already subject matter experts in their dedicated field of UA, data analytics, creative optimizing. But they shouldn't work in silo. So I'm now talking about how we are using the insights from tools, having professional people, and then these professional people actually do need to always come together with the business side, with the game advisors, for this ongoing feedback loop to improve the gameplay, to improve our spend efficiency, and overall then we can meet business objectives together. So I would say in the marketing stack, tools is probably one part of the equation only.
Okay, thank you. Tony?
Yeah, I think Alexandra already covered it. But yeah, what I'd say is it's very important that all of the tools are integrated with each other seamlessly. You don't want to have to spend an awful lot of time trying to connect everything up when you could be focused on making a better game, right? Monetization is incredibly important, particularly for hyper casual games. So working with a mediation platform, and even more so an in-app bidding platform that allows, let's say, developers of all sizes to maximize the yield on every single impression without a huge operational workload is very important. But then having that user level data hooked up and flowing into your user acquisition spend so that you can make accurate decisions and quick decisions on how and where to spend is crucial.
Okay, thank you. So, in this conversation, your role is to just conclude everything what we mentioned, and then just to give some highlights or tips So yeah, because more or less, of course, it's like common knowledge, right? So what we're discussing right now, I don't think that there are some really big difference in terms of viewers acquisition. So that's why I actually wanted to ask: do you see any change? I mean, any big difference between UA strategy for hyper casual and non-hyper casual games? Do you think it's really different, or it's more or less, kind of how to say, close to each other? Alexandra, what about your clients? So what?
I think the difference is not a hyper casual versus other verticals of gaming. It's more ad monetized versus IAP. And I think that the difference, at the end of the day, the goal of everyone is to make money, right? So the goal is the same, but the tools are different. I think like hyper casual I mean ad monetized and IAP, they are looking at different KPIs and different look back window. If you take like a mid-core game, they will look at LTV 30, 60, 90 and above. Hyper casual, as we said, is much shorter. They have different focuses when it comes to the UA strategy. I think for hyper casual, I mean, the whole strategy is basically to find the right bids to meet your profitability targets. So it's a lot of bids, budget, status adjustment. For the non-IAP monetized, I mean, you have bigger profit margin, and so you're more focused on, audiences and finding the right users and replicating your audiences and on the creative. So it's also different tasks that they're focusing on, and probably as well the frequency of the optimization, particularly for hyper casual. I mean, it needs to be all the time, even real time. You need to make those adjustments, react very quickly, because you need to keep this profit margin, which is very small, and you need to be in control. For IAP, you have bigger profit margin, and again, you focus on different things, and the frequency of optimization is much smaller.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I wanted to mention this too. So yeah, hyper casual guys, they should check the next day they should check the campaigns and stop if they see that like retention rate, for example, is not good enough. So it doesn't make sense to continue these campaigns. You should stop it immediately. Right, Sheen? So what is your strategy with your hyper casual games?
Similar. So basically the main difference lies in the higher threshold for CPI to achieve profitability, right? So in a standard hyper casual game, probably 80% of the revenue actually comes from ads and only 20% from IAP. But for non-hyper casual game, it could be reversed. So alluding to what Alexandra said, we actually expect higher IAP from a non-hyper casual game genre, because there's so many levers we can use to maximize the IAP, the ARPU, the LTV through packages and promotions. Yeah, so overall, there's actually more room to allow for a higher CPI.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways I find them quite similar, to be honest. Mostly because they both try to find early indicators that are good predictors of value, right? For hyper casual, that tends to be almost exclusively day zero ROAS. I've actually seen like an awful lot of IAP driven games that like have 1 year, 6 month earnbacks that also focus a lot on day zero ROAS as well. You can, of course, have like, let's say, games that just don't convert users to IAPs in day zero, and they'll still focus around maybe day 7, day 3 as their leading indicators, slightly more out to day 30. But the focus is general, is finding events that correlate well with user value that can allow you to make decisions quickly, so that you're, risking as little as possible, and then also maximizing your spend and growth.
By the way, speaking about spending, so do you have any recommendation about a budget split between sources or geos? What is your strategy in terms of this, like in terms of budgeting?
So I would never look at, let's say, sources in isolation, really, right? Particularly for hyper casual games. I think, as we kind of spoke about before, it all really comes back to ROAS. And for hyper casual, you should be trying to maximize your scale everywhere that is hitting your ROAS goals. So because there's no guarantee, hyper casual moves incredibly fast. There may be a game similar to yours that comes out in a couple of weeks, or what connects with an audience now may not connect in a couple of months' time. So the way we see, let's say, all the top studios and developers approaching this is let's say you have a goal of day 0, 50% ROAS. Every channel that you are hitting those ROAS metrics on, you want to maximize scale as much as possible. Everyone that you're not, you're going to, let's say, try to pull down your cost in order to get those in line, which is going to necessarily decrease scale to some extent. And then trying to just ensure that you're profitable and hitting your margins everywhere, and then being flexible with where you spend your budgets. For hyper casual as well, given the short earn back windows, there isn't these huge cash flow issues generally. So you can afford and be able to be that flexible.
Okay, thank you. So Alexandra, what do you think?
No, I think Tony put it in the best way possible. I think sky is the limit when you find profitable users, and you shouldn't restrict yourself. Maybe the first budget should be allocated to Facebook, because this is usually what is going to give you a good sense of your KPI and if a game is going to be successful or not. But from the moment you're scaling, just invest your money wherever it's profitable, and just what developers need to do is really to be in control, right? They need to have the tools that allow them to measure the data at all level of granularity, and then cut everything that's not profitable and just scale everything that's bringing profitability. So I would say just trust the data and put your money wherever you have the best and the most profitable users.
Okay, thank you. So Shin, do you want to add something?
Yeah, we definitely, decide on budget allocation based on ROAS, and we kind of tier it, right? So the first tier we're looking at is usually at country level, followed by the UA sources, and then the campaign level. To every variable, there's plenty of A/B testing behind the scenes on the gameplay concepts and creatives, because what suits one market may not suit the other. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we're talking today a lot about ROAS, and because we don't have that much time left, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about this refocusing, because right now we see that the game developers, they are changing their proper goals from CPI to ROAS. And what about these advantages of ROAS bidding? So how and why marketing automation is enabling exponential growth here? Alexandra, I think you, because you're an expert in automation here, so what is your opinion about that?
Yeah, I think my opinion is that we're in a world that is even more sophisticated in terms of UA, a lot of competition, and I think you need three main pillars in order to be successful. Okay, it's the data, it's the intelligence, it's the automation. CPI bidding is a bit 2000 and late. I think it's been a while, but people understood that CPI is not the main metric. You need to tie it to some kind of performance, okay? And where we're seeing advertisers succeed is really in their ability to aggregate and analyze the data, to build some LTV prediction, ROAS predictions on top of those data that are going to give them the ability to find the right bid for the right user, okay? And if you want to be able to do that fast and at scale, you need automation. Otherwise, manually, it's impossible. You're running a couple of games on 10 different networks. You have hundreds of campaigns. You have thousands of campaign geos combination. And if I add the site ID level of granularity, it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, okay? And we're seeing with our client that they're managing really to increase the performance of their campaign by applying those data-driven decisions at scale. For some clients who are passing 500,000 changes a day, okay? So go do that manually. You understand that it's going to be very challenging. So I think automation is really bridging in between the data and the intelligence, and this is the only tool that will allow you to make those data-driven decisions at scale.
Totally agree. So Shin, what do you think about this change from CPI to ROAS in general? So what is the trend?
Yeah. The advertising platforms get increasingly sophisticated, so CPI is definitely in the past already. As mobile game publishers ourselves, UA solution which is profitable is the right solution. So we will never scale UA unless we are certain that ROAS is positive, which is why we set our goals based on ROAS. So ROAS is what we define as ARPU must be higher than CPI, right? So in our case, it's always about reducing CPI to the lowest and maximizing ARPU to the highest. So maybe I want to add on to this as well, which is we should bear in mind that up-down is one of the key metrics that determines ARPU, and ways to increase up-down is by maximizing the eCPM. So just now, earlier on in the call, I kind of mentioned that we have a tool called Smarty Pants. So this is a tool that actually can help all the developers to maximize their eCPM by automating the advertising waterfall. So yeah, I'll be happy to share more after the call. Yeah.
Awesome. Tony.
Yeah, so I think the transition to ROAS has definitely happened quite a lot in the last couple of years. More recently, it's been really pushed by the advent of like user level data and impression level data, which has made it incredibly clear to everyone the width and breadth of user value, basically. And then on top of that, there's been automation solutions like Bidshake as well. On our platform, we have like user level based ROAS, auto ROAS campaigns where you just set a ROAS goal, which is then hit by predictive algorithms. So it enables you to buy users for, let's say if your goal is like 50% day zero, like a user that's worth, that generates 25 cents will be bought for 50 cents. One that's bought for $1 will be bought for, will generate 50 cents on day zero. And it just enables you to really get incredibly granular and then open up a much broader audience than was ever possible. On top of this, as we kind of touched on beforehand, what it's also meant is that people are expanding out now from just focusing on a couple of key geos like the US or APAC, where let's say a lot of revenue was being generated, to now being able to automate buying worldwide and buying in places that were traditionally less competitive. So seeing much further growth there. And UA managers are incredibly happy. I find that they're able to maximize their growth everywhere without a lot of manual work and operations. So yeah, I think that's very much why, because it builds in like a lot of team efficiencies, whereas UA managers can now manage more games, more geos, and more channels much more easily.
Okay, guys, thank you. I think the time is over for us, but thank you for this valuable conversation, and I hope it helps our audience to find valuable users. So thanks a lot, and guys who are listening to us, of course, you can connect to us via Pine, via LinkedIn. Just drop a message if you have any question, and let's profit be with us. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.